Hi, Crystal Johnson here to discuss energy matters with you all. What I found most interesting in this week's reading and deep dive into energy concepts is how much I had to come back to considering politics and the political situation that leads to our choices in energy, and how even though humans are really good at progressing, we are really good at taking the knowledge from the previous generation and building on it and improving it and fixing it and streamlining it and making it more efficient. We've been doing this for so long. Yet something happened in the last 30 or 40 years politically that we aren't progressing in the same way. We're not challenging ourselves to innovate. And I found myself continuing to come back to the idea of politics in this reading. um, we're in this really strange moment on our planet. We're pretty well aware that we are killing our planet if we don't make some pretty large changes. But our political gridlock, as far as understanding necessary adjustments to our impact on climate, haven't always been this rigid. Back in the 1970s, somebody wrote this wonderful poem called The Silent Spring that talked about the new found use of pesticides in the agricultural systems and how the springs became quiet because so many birds were being killed by the abundant use of pesticides in the agricultural system. And so this woman wrote this poem, and it impacted so much of our culture in that point in time that we had unanimous votes within Congress to step up and create most of the environmental protections that we live under today were created in response to this poem in the 1970s and 80s. And so we've been sitting here for 40 years without effective progressive legislation that really steps up to the plate and protects us like we need it. And unfortunately, when we're deciding what we're going to do about our energy future, too many politicians are thinking about too small of a scope. I really wish that our politicians would be required to think about 7 generations into the future, to look at the true impact that is made from extracting goods now and using them now. Another thing that I would love to tell politicians someday, if they wanted to lend me their ear, is how much I think we should consider localizing our energy sources. A lot that was discussed with solar, wind, wave technologies is that these technologies aren't well adapted to be transferred and stored. And some of this is our limitations with battery storage, which need to progress for us to really cling on to new renewable energy technologies. But I think if we embraced localization of that, us here in the Pacific Northwest, we could really thrive by all the hydropower that we can harness through our rivers and through our lakes and through our reservoirs. We do so much of this in Oregon already. We have geothermal at our exposure. In the Midwest, they should really be leaning into wind and solar. And so I don't think that this concept that we as a country need to sit on a grid that locks us all into one usage is a smart thing looking into the future. I think we need to create diversity in energy. And that's my recap for you today. Hope y'all are having a good week.